We talk about diversity a lot on this program because we have really explored all the different ways that diversity is important for not just survival, but to be able to thrive. How important was your ability to kind of diversify your skill set during the time that you were here in New York? How important was that to you being able to survive the pandemic? Because people who came here who were like relying on one thing and then that one thing disappeared, they moved home. The people who stayed were the ones who already knew how to pivot, how to transition, how to use this skill set to take advantage of that opportunity, and were always ready to take on whatever the new opportunity was. How important was that in your sort of like pre-pandemic New York City experience that enabled you to make this transition so that you were able to thrive post-pandemic?
That's a great question. I would say that it has been pivotal for my thrival in New York to have all these different skill sets. So, like I mentioned before, like the whole farming aspect, I meditate on that sometimes about how my dad, the dairy farmer, by osmosis taught me all these different skill sets. Like it was kind of his way or the highway for barn chores around my home. My dad is very specific about how he does his stuff, and I was learning the whole time. I now know, like I've picked up just between childhood and moving to New York, I picked up some casual carpentry skills and mechanical skills. Yeah, and being able to build things and figure out how things work without having to ask your dad, who will yell at you for not knowing how things work. That'll condition you sometimes to figuring out how things work all on your own. And that very much bleeds into as a mobile tester. So for example, if I'm testing a piece of mobile technology, for example, my next review is going to be a webcam, a 1080p webcam that, quite frankly, didn't exist just 5 years ago. That technology, that's how fast it's moving. That sort of consumer friendly level webcam would have been $500-$600. It's very useful for me with this entire background. Like I'm going to be reviewing this webcam from a consumer standpoint. Right. So it's like I kind of put myself in that mindset when I review something. I'm like, all right, so let's say that somebody just delivered this to me. I just purchased this. Yeah. I know nothing about this thing.
Let me take it out of the box.
And now I'm going to use it, and I'm going to try to figure it out and put it in context with how I would use it. I just another review I have coming up. Samsung just released their smart tags. I think they announced them over CES. It's like a key finder. Yeah. But it does much more than that. It attaches to my Philips Hue lighting system. Dope. that's in my home, which is attached to my Amazon smart speaker, because they're both Android devices. And I haven't actually figured out the full compatibility and functions of it. It's just a little tiny piece of plastic with a button, and it can do a whole bunch of stuff. Like you can set routines for your lighting. You can have it
when you walk in and walk out, it turns your lights on and off because it knows where your keys are. Yeah, and
one of the reasons I got it is because I'm a Samsung user, and because it's a Samsung device, it'll have compatibility across those devices in the same way that the headphones that I came here wearing are Bose headphones, which have an Apple H1 chip in them, which means that whenever I turn them on in my home, which this happened last night, Alicia, whenever I turn them on in my home, they automatically connect no matter what to one of my fiance's devices that are Apple.
The closest Apple device.
And that's another thing, actually, a good synergy that Tara and I have is that she's always been an Apple user and I've always been a Windows Android user. So when she has an Apple
loser.
Hey.
Our technology is pretty fucking great.
Hey, good luck with your customization, bro.
It's fine. But just preference.
But the thing is, it's just like, all right, first of all, you will both have a different relationship with Apple if you have to spend hours of your life every week on the phone with their PR contacts because it's part of your job. And everything's under NDA, because I used to fact check. I used to fact check for Laptop Magazine. So part of my job for fact checking would be literally calling up PR contacts and being like, hey, so we're about to release our review of the new Apple iPod Pro. The configuration that you guys sent us, I just wanted to confirm all the specs, because all those specs, based on the price point, directly affect the 5-star rating of the review. There's a value factor, right? And so, but Apple has certain, they just have certain things under NDA. And they just have certain policies where it's just like, I don't know if it's still like this, but I think at the time, the name of their processors were under NDA. So even if I had the laptop open and
You could see all the things that were doing it. You couldn't talk about it.
They weren't allowed to talk about it. And so it's like, so there's a give and take of that relationship of respect for journalists and PR contacts, because PR contacts are constantly representing companies that are pushing the envelope of technology, and the PR contacts are looking for early adopters, but also a consumer base. But the first iteration of most technology isn't always the best and consumer ready. So oftentimes you want to beta test your stuff. You want to have early adopters to give you extra feedback. But then Steve went and conditioned everybody to getting fully baked products out of the box.
Right.
And so it was just like, so it's like, I appreciate when there's bugs for initial iterations, because you can use your feedback to help. Developers want that feedback.
Right.
When I test products, I look for things that are wrong, because developers love that.
Right.
And manufacturers love that, because then the next
they can
version
improve on it. Yeah.
Exactly. And they'd never have this information if they didn't have a consumer level somebody to test it, but then also to take that and put it into words,
right?
And to articulate that process. And so it's very specific. It's like there's a different process for reviewing a laptop that there's a standard to it for each publication, but there's not a standard to reviewing a bubble helmet.
Right.
I guess I'll have to create that little standard as I go along.
Thanks for checking out this clip from our show.
To watch more clips or full episodes, click on our profile below.
If you want to stay up to date on all of our new episodes and videos, click subscribe.
And if you have any ideas for future guests or topics that you would like to see us cover on the show,
leave us a message in the comments or connect with us on any of our social media channels at Funtime Program.
Or on our website at funtimeprogram.com.
We'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.